probably wondering, why do car dealerships exist? And I've often wondered the same thing. It seems like every time we turn around, they come up with a new scheme or a new scam to rip us off. But you know what? There are, in fact, some reasons they exist, some of which I can actually get behind, and some of which, of course, I can certainly leave. I want to talk about those because a lot of us ask the question, when we look at manufacturers like Tesla and they deliver directly more or less to the consumer, it begs the question, why do these car dealers even exist? We also know that Volkswagen and Scout brand now are having a little bit of this. Why? Well, because some want to sell directly to the consumer, but Volkswagen franchisees want to have the ability to sell that product locally. But you know what? It doesn't always work that way. And a lot of customers basically say, you know what? Hey, I want to buy right from the manufacturer. I don't even want to skip the dealership. But you know what? Here's the thing. The downside is, we all know, you remove the middleman, then the OEM themselves have to start jacking their prices up, and they will. We won't know the difference. We're already accustomed, we're desensitized as consumers to what the expectation is of a new car, truck, SUV. We know that these vehicles are too expensive, but we've already been desensitized to the fact that this is going on. But you know what? There are, in fact, 5 main reasons, and some of which you'll probably agree with, that why dealerships do exist. Well, the first one, why don't we just talk about the simple fact is they're sort of an economic powerhouse. I mean, okay, it feels sometimes like they're ripping you off, gouging you and that. And where's all the money come from? Well, it's out of your pocket. It's revenue, it's profits, it's the sale of a lot of their goods, services, it's the parts and the mechanic shop and all of those other attributes that they provide are what it takes to actually build their revenue flow or their cash flow, their positive cash flow. They have to keep the lights on, they pay, people that are on salary, so they have to pay some of them. People, for example, on the front line, maybe reception, possibly some management, some of the staff that actually does not go by either charging shop rates as mechanics or even charging, a certain percentage on the sale of each vehicle. There's other staff, janitorial, we have the front end staff, again, I already mentioned, and other people that just actually operate under more of a salary or even on an hourly basis. So what it does is actually, one of the benefits in having dealerships, and one reason they even exist, is they sort of provide a bit of a foundation, an economic basis to a more group of businesses. Let's put it this way. You come from a city, big city. I look around a city of 1 million people. How many vehicle dealers do you have? You have probably 3 or 4 Ford dealers, 3 or 4 Chevy, GM dealers, a couple of Honda dealers, a couple of Toyota dealers. You might have a Jaguar dealer in there. You're going to have a Porsche dealer. Every OEM is going to be represented in that city, sometimes once, twice, 5 times. And so because of that now, in fact, employs people you probably know. Some people I know I personally have. I actually have relatives that work in the business, actually, that are working for dealerships, that are in reception, that are mechanics, are wrenching, and in different capacities. Some sell the service, of course. Some of these people are in financing, and some that are in management. I know people in all sorts of the business. And so it actually creates a sort of macroeconomic environment to which you think of all of these dealerships, and there's probably 100 people per dealership between the mechanics and the management and all the other staff. How many of these dealerships, how many people are actually employed? Thousands and thousands of people in every city are actually employed by these dealerships. And so it does provide sort of an economic benefit that actually feeds the city. I mean, we also see about cities like Detroit and some of those, those economic powerhouses where they manufacture these. Well, a lot of the manufacturing facilities, we can kind of go on all day about things like, some of in Ontario, certainly all over in the US and Tennessee. I mean, you can kind of, where the deal is. But at the end of the day, a lot of these cities that either manufacture or have dealerships house people. It's employment. And so that definitely does create more opportunities. And when some of these factories shut down or dealerships close the doors, that kind of hurts people that have been working there for many, many years. But you know what? There's other reasons. A lot of it is sort of the marketplace, the competition, if you will. And some of that, of course, really is what? Well, if you didn't have 5 Ford dealerships in one city, you couldn't shop around. You just look online. I mean, look at how Tesla operates. Some people say it's good because it's basically buy directly from the OEM. But how do you know $69,995 is a good value for a brand new Y Performance. How do you know that? You have no way to justify it. It's almost its own monopoly. You don't know if it's worth that. You don't know what the cost of manufacturing is. It might cost Tesla $10,000 to build that car. But there's no way to negotiate it. There's no way to challenge it. There's no way to shop around. And see, with having a multitude of different dealerships in your vicinity, it gives you an opportunity to shop around. Some are desperate, some aren't. Well, you go to this dealership and that Chevy might be offered, they might be giving you big discounts because they're trying to get some of those vehicles off the lot. These guys over here might not be. So you shop around, you start realizing who the hungry person is in town. And it gives you sort of that marketplace opportunity, that ability to challenge the pricing, challenge the the efforts on giving you negotiate or better negotiated prices, and without having that free flowing, I guess you can call it marketplace. It's just there's no potential for negotiations. It's here's the price, here's the way it is. Now, we may not agree with that, and we know I don't agree with a lot of these prices these days, and whether they're sold either direct from manufacturer like Tesla, or whether they're sold by Ford, GM, Mazda dealer, Subaru, you name it. I don't agree with a lot of the prices, and I think there is a little bit of price fixing in my own honest opinion. It seems like sometimes some of these dealers kind of work together, and a lot of them actually are multi-groups, multi-dealership ownership groups, that they might have 8 different types of dealerships of different OEMs, and then they just shop around and they make sure they sort of keep prices stable, and they talk and communicate to other dealers in kind, and then they don't negotiate. So there is some, I don't want to use the word, but I mean, some people have said price fixing is a factor that sometimes exists in the market. But ultimately, this free competition at least gives you the ability to feel that you're somewhat in control. And I kind of like that. Now, another opportunity. You think about when you're buying, say, from a direct supplier like a Tesla versus, say, buying from Ford. And we know some of these OEMs were trying to put the level and put the squeeze on some of these individual franchises to say, we want to take these products back. We want to start selling. We know Ford was fighting with a lot of their franchises as well, trying to sell a lot of their products direct, especially when you're talking about electrified vehicles. They're trying to maintain that level of competitiveness. But the reality is there's more to it than that. There's other things like the financing as well as insurance costs. And even, when you buy a new car, a lot of times I've seen it, even used cars. You go to a dealership, you find the car of your dreams, used, new, whatever it is. You take it out for a drive, you say, well, it's green light that. Usually what ends up happening is they at least give you an option for in-house financing. Now, I'm always an advocate for find your own outside first. At least shop around your own banks, your own financial institutions, because once you do that, you'll have a better idea whether you're getting screwed, blued, or tattooed. Also, on top of it, you might as well say, screw that noise. You know what? I'm not going to take their in-house financing because I got 3.9% from my bank. These guys are only giving me 8.9%. At least but you have the ability. But there are cases where I've seen some of these dealers, manufacturers now offering 0%, 1.9%. And we know that there's banks that won't touch that, especially now when the Bank of Canada or the Fed's rates are a little bit higher. A lot of times you can't get those deals at the bank. So there are cases where you want to get financing at the OEM. And having that ability to have those conversations locally at a dealership allows you to participate in shopping around and giving those opportunities to try to get better deals. Again, if you're buying directly from the manufacturer, either they're giving you a discount or they're not. And there's really no negotiations. Have you been on a Tesla website lately? Well, neither have I, but I have seen them before. And I've seen what they do, and they basically either they're incentivizing through a lease terms or something special, or they're just not. It's almost like you buy your Apple phone. It sort of has its own circumstances. You buy it as is, or you walk away. And so this gives you the ability to get them set up, or at least potentially take their in-house financing. Sometimes they can insure it. And in some cases, what I've experienced, they'll even have your vehicle registered, put the plate on, so that when you come up, you pay your check, you give them the check, they give you the keys, you drive away. Everything's registered, the plates are on there, and everything's good. You just got to sign some paperwork, and then it gives them the right to go down there and register on your behalf. But other than that, that gives the ability to take some of that onus off of you, the buyer. And that does have some nice benefits. I'll be honest, instead of chasing around, and I bought cars privately and chasing around insurance registration, making the calls and doing all those things, sometimes it takes a couple steps off your plate. But another thing, we know the benefit in having dealerships. Why do they exist? Well, let's face it, after sales, the service, the parts. I mean, if you're buying a car that's direct from supplier, how do you get that? I mean, we know Tesla have the little roving trucks that show up and that, and there are processes to get you looked after if you have a problem with your vehicle. But it also, again, has that ability to get it towed in locally, deal with your vehicle. Maybe you can fix part of it, maybe you can't. Maybe you can buy parts, maybe you can fix the car yourself and you just use their parts. But at least it gives you the ability to either shop around, get the best pricing, drag it into the car lot yourself for repair, whatever it is. But there's the ability to get your car fixed or buy the parts from the dealership. Now, that's more of a benefit to them, and clearly that's its own, and again, I already mentioned, a bit of a macroeconomic situation where these dealerships are making money. It's a capitalist market, let's face it. This is not benefiting you and I really all that much. The benefits are to these small businesses because each franchise is its own little orbital business, right? Because usually most of these dealerships are not directly tied to the OEM manufacturer. That's why you have things like floor plan costs. Why? Because that franchise gets these cars on their lot and have to pay a monthly charge to keep those cars on the lot. So they're basically buying them or borrowing them on almost like a lease terms of sorts just to have this product on their lot. So of course, clearly a lot of these manufacturers are not directly tied. Ford and the franchise, dealers themselves are almost separate entities, two separate building business models. And because of that, they operate in their own terms, and it is a capitalist market, and a lot of people are getting screwed. We see it all the time with these prices and the gouging and the dealers and the screwing you in the service shop and not doing the work that you paid for. And I know I've been through that. Our Toyota went through that exact same problem. We have a Camry. We took it into the dealership and we proved them. I had a video I made on that on my other channel. But the point is, sometimes you do get screwed. But that comes down to finding a shop you can trust and a set of people that you can actually put faith in. But ultimately, they are a business and they're there to make money. So it's not a charitable foundation when you're going to a dealership. You're paying the price and you're paying for all that salaried staff and you're paying for that mechanic and you're paying for that parts and the 40% markup on the parts. So you're not doing that yourself that much of a favor, but it is a convenience. And so as a result of that, the ability to get your car serviced, get the parts, it exists. You will pay for that. You will pay for that convenience, just like you'll pay for Skip the Dish or Uber Eats. It's not a great deal when you got to pick up your phone and call these clowns and get your pizza delivered right to your house or your Taco Bell or whatever, because you got to be close to the toilet after you eat a pound of Taco Bell. But either way, you're in a situation where you have the ability out of convenience to have those dealerships there, to have it serviced, parts, and beyond. So there is another common factor. And again, this speaks more to the capitalist side of the game, is sales. A lot of people say, well, I'd rather just buy directly. But yes, you can still buy, and sales are a big fundamental part of the dealership network. And again, it's benefited more for them because they're making their profits. But it does also give you, as I kind of cycle back, the fact that you can negotiate and you can work one dealer against the other one, and you can play those games a little bit and you can get their best pricing. But when you do that, the best thing I suggest is pick up your phone, call a dealer, pin a person down, negotiate the best deal. Say, here's the make, model, year, the spec, this is what I want. I say I want F-150 Lariat, I want it in red, and I want this, that, and the other. And then send it to me in email or print or something. And that way you have something to go by. Then you can shop around and shop them against each other. It at least gives you the ability to deal in some way. If you're buying directly from the OEM, you think you're getting a deal. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But who knows? You have no way to know, and you have no way to negotiate. Here, at least you can negotiate. The sales allows you to shop around. Also, when you're buying from some of those direct from the OEMs, sometimes you can test drive these cars. Sometimes you can't. A lot of times they have these special customer loyalty or come on down test drive days, and they open up the doors for driving everything that they have on the lot. And those are great, but sometimes it doesn't always work out, or sometimes you don't maybe like those those individuals working at that dealership, because I know I've seen sometimes you might actually come across a dealership with some personnel maybe that just rub you the wrong way. So you want to try to take your business somewhere else. Well, if you're taking from one of those dealerships that is kind of exclusive direct to customer type, chances are there's not a lot of those dealerships. The network's small, so you're just stuck dealing with them. But if you're buying, say, from a Ford or a Honda or Toyota, chances are you've got 3 or 4 dealers to shop around. These guys have always done you wrong, so we're going to go over here instead. But you know what? It allows you to shop around, shop them against each other. It gives you the opportunity to possibly buy from whoever you want. Maybe you like that facility better because you like to buy from these guys. Why? Because maybe they have a much nicer service setup. You know, sometimes you go to those older, crustier shops and they've been around since 1956 and you're like, there's no way I'm bringing my new Corvette C8 down the back alley to this service shop. It looks like crap full of potholes. You may not want to take it to that dealership. Rather, you want to take it somewhere that you like. So you look around, you get this big fancy shop. You know you're paying for that, by the way, with the marble floors and the tiles and the concierge service and the massage service. Maybe Lexus, hey, they take care of it. They have like a boutique there too, from what I hear. I wouldn't know. I can't afford a Lexus at this point. But the point I'm trying to make is there's all kinds of opportunities to shop around and choose the dealership of your choice for sales, parts, and again, to buy your car. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Why do you believe dealerships exist, and should they continue to exist? Or would you rather buy directly from the OEM? Maybe like a Tesla? I don't know. I'd like to hear more from each and every one of you. You all have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.